All right, everybody at home, my name's Steve Soloff with InformTheVoteNJ.com. Today we're sitting down with Charlie Woody, who's running for Lawrence Township Committee. First off, thank you, Charlie, for taking the time to speak with me. I started InformTheVoteNJ.com because I was frustrated by how difficult it was to find information about local candidates. This experience began with getting a sample ballot in the mail, but trying to research the candidates on Google took much longer than I expected. I couldn't find information. It took me about 6 weeks before I started making connections and getting down the rabbit hole in any sort of significant manner. And while many local politicians were cooperative, I also had some unpleasant interactions. And it seems like you've had some similar experiences. So I'm excited to talk to you about those kinds of interactions today and also to hear more about your platform. Just to clarify for our viewers, InformTheVoteNJ.com is a neutral platform. Our goal is to provide clear, honest information. Sometimes we convey what we observe along with a bit of opinion, but we're not directly tied to any candidate beyond having in-depth conversations. So with that, Charlie, I know you've been a lifelong resident of Cedarville, and you've mentioned how deeply rooted your family is in the community. Could you tell us a little bit about how your upbringing shaped your connection to Lawrence Township and your desire to serve the community?
Yes. First of all, Steve, I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to interview me. And I would like to thank everyone at home who's tuned in to watch. It's an honor to be here today, sitting on the beautiful Cedarville Lake, as you see behind us. My roots start very deep back when I was 10 years old, as far back as I can remember, with my grandfather, Norman Burns. I used to help him give food to the needy and people in the area, and we would actually deliver food to homes. And delivering the food to the homes, we would see the people, the joy on their faces from just that extra help that we would provide to them. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a family who we didn't have very much as it was, but what we did have, we would share with our fellow neighbors. So it was an honor being involved with that with my grandfather.
Yeah, I think I've had a bit of similar experience over the past year doing what I'm doing right now. I've reached out to candidates who didn't quite know how to get their message out, and when I would show up out of nowhere, you could see the joy in their face, and I imagine it's the same kind of experience. Some people who are needy, they don't necessarily expect somebody to show up with something to help with food and all of the other stuff that you do.
Exactly. So
cool. I think we just talked about your grandfather and how he helped with the pantry and all that. Is there anything else you want to add to that? Yeah, he used to have in town the local Christmas parties. He used to hold them, and he used to give out Christmas gifts to the local children around. Mm-hmm. So he was deeply involved as well, and being very connected and close to my grandfather, it gave me the opportunity to interact with a lot of Lawrence Township residents, a lot of kids that were my age that needed an extra gift for Christmas. Mm-hmm. If their family was struggling, and there was times where I would get my gift last, of course, and I would give my gift to another child in the town just because it was the right thing to do. Sure.
So that's how my grandfather had brought me up. I was very close with my father as well, but he was a hard worker, and that's what he did. He provided for his family. Mm-hmm. My grandfather owned his own business here in town. It was easier for him to connect with me because he owned his own business. So that way I was able to spend more time with him, but my dad had provided for the family. So that connection, that male bonding with my father, it was harder to connect that way.
Yeah, sure. people have their own roles in life and situations.
Exactly.
So your father was out working all the time, and your grandfather just happened to be in a position where he could give you more attention and support, right?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. So now, a little bit more directly into politics. What motivated you to take this step into local politics, especially running for Lawrence Township Committee?
I would say that back in probably 2004 is what motivated me the most. Because my grandfather passed away in 2004, and I inherited his home, which was a family home. I believe it was like this second generation family home, so it's been in our family for many years at that time. And prior to that, I don't believe I voted at all, but I was registered to vote.
Sure.
So prior to that, I don't want to say I didn't care, but I didn't know enough about who I was voting for.
Oh, sure.
I just vote whoever is most popular, whoever looks the coolest, whoever sounds the coolest. You know, when you're a young kid, sometimes you go with the flow.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 42 years old.
Yeah, me too.
That's cool.
It's a very similar. Well, you got more involved into local politics before I did, but yeah, I think sometimes in life, you just have to be at the right place, right time. Are you ready for it or whatever? You know, past several years, I was traveling, and then last year I came home and I was like, oh, I got the ballot in front of me.
Right.
Like, now's the time to put my foot in and actually learn about it, as opposed to just kind of guessing or whatever.
Right.
So it sounds a little similar, but sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened around 2004 when I became a homeowner. That's when I got more involved in where's my money going.
Sure.
I'm now paying taxes. I'm now paying bills at my home. I don't want to lose my family home due to taxes or due to this, that, or another. So I started digging into, okay, where's money going? Who's the best politician? You know, and at that time, you know, Democrat, Republican, it didn't really matter to me. I'm a firm believer of voting for the best candidate.
Sure.
So that's how I went about that. Do my research. You know, look up, and like you said earlier, it's hard to find anything on anybody. You know, locally.
Yeah.
If you want to find something about, you know, federally,
yeah,
it's all over the
everywhere.
place.
Yeah.
But when it comes local, where do you start?
I mean, to be quite honest with you, I never thought I would hear from you. You know what I mean? There's some guy who's got his name on the ballot, Google him, nothing shows up. And then, like we were just talking about, the way we got connected was I sent you a letter in the mail.
Yes.
Like, who would have thought that with all the power of Google,
a stamp got us connected.
Emails, all this kind of stuff, is you got my letter in the mail and you actually answered it.
Yes. So yeah, that's what got me motivated. And then as years went on, having a family and stuff like that, it's you know, you definitely have to be involved and know who you're voting for and know where your taxes are going and how it's being used. So that's what really got me more motivated. And then I would say, you know, in the past few years, it's kind of got, you know, more revved up.
Sure.
You know, I'm ready for this. I'm committed to this. You know, this isn't just about me. This is about my children. This is about my children's children, and so on. This is about the future of Lawrence Township.
Okay. And was there anything particular about this year or this election, or do you just find this to be the right time to put your foot forward?
Throughout the years, growing up in Lawrence Township, I've seen a lot of things, but it's more or less not in the good. I mean, it's when I was younger, you know, I remember Cedarville. That's why I started to, you're from Cedarville when, because that's the memories that I had when I was younger. That's
just to clarify for people watching, Charlie runs a Facebook group called "You Know You're from Cedarville When."
Correct.
Yeah, anyway,
Yes.
keep going.
So I started that because I wanted people to remember the memories of Cedarville, because the memories were fading. Like I said, my grandfather passed away in 2004. My grandmother passed away in like 97. So a lot of people are leaving the town or passing away, and the memories are fading. And with the memories fading, it's almost like the town has come to a stop. And the beauty of Cedarville isn't quite there anymore. I used to look at Cedarville as being Mayberry of New Jersey. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody would walk outside, you know, they would greet each other. Hello, how you doing? They know you by first names. They would welcome you. Everybody was so sweet and nice, and the beauty was here. You could leave your doors unlocked in the middle of the night. You could leave your car keys right in the car. Now, that going said, you know, that's not just a local thing. You know, that's all over the world. You know, we really can't live that way anymore. But Cedarville was very tight and very close and very beautiful. But in the last, I'd say, 10 years or so, it's almost like we're stuck in time, but we're losing things.
Yeah.
We're losing the beauty of Lawrence Township, of Cedarville, and I want my kids to be proud and remember when they were here. And when I ask my kids today what they're most proud of Lawrence Township, they have nothing for me. Nothing.
Right.
So that makes me think, if my kids can't answer that simple question of what makes you be proud to be in Cedarville, where have we come?
Right.
And where are we going?
Right.
Because I want them to be proud. I want their kids to be proud. I want my kids to have memories that I have from when I was a child. Right now, my kids' memories really are non-existent from Cedarville, and that's what I don't want. I want the memories here.
Yeah, it sounds like you want like a revival of the town, reinstill pride for the town.
Yes, we have to.
That general sentiment is what has motivated you to step forward as a general leader.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then let's get a little bit more into your platform. So the first thing that you brought up to me for your platform is transparency. So with that being a key priority for you, you've mentioned financial matters, and there was a loan that the committee put forward for about $6 million regarding the local school. And for my own clarification and for the people watching who aren't familiar with this issue, could you explain what that loan was for and why it was a controversy?
Just to clarify, the loan, it wasn't submitted by the committee, the Lawrence Township Committee, and it was through Lawrence Township School District.
Okay.
So it was through them, but the transparency part is the township committeeman knew that the loan was going to be that the special election was going to happen. They knew about it.
Okay.
And
well, just so I can, like, from point A to point B, like, what was the loan specifically for?
it was about a $6 million loan that was going to do renovations to the school.
Okay, renovations.
And
right.
one of the renovations that they wanted to add to the school was they wanted to add a Board of Education building to the school.
Okay.
Okay, it was proposed in 2022.
Okay.
And it was rejected.
Okay.
And then in 2023, that's when we found out about a special election where they were going to try to bring it back up.
Sure.
And it wasn't the township committeeman or anyone like that saying, hey, you know, the school board's going to bring up a special election. Just be educated on it, be prepared, and, you know, vote, you know, accordingly. None of that was ever discussed ever.
Okay.
So that's where the transparency kind of fell through the cracks, and a lot of township residents felt like they were being left out. It wasn't until someone brought it to my attention that this is what was going on, and the the special election was in September, and we have a general election in November. So
so if correct me if I'm wrong, people aren't expecting that. They're totally ready for the general election, and then, I mean, I guess where do you even hold it if it's not advertised, and who's actually even going to vote on it if people aren't?
Well, they have to advertise it by state of New Jersey. They do have to advertise it. They eventually do have to. But the question is, were they waiting to advertise it at the deadlines that the state of New Jersey gives them?
Yeah.
And if that was the case, then what's going to happen is, a lot of uninformed voters may have not showed up for the special election to vote, which would have then possibly had this election passed.
Yeah.
Which could have then caused a big hardship for a lot of residents in our towns who are already struggling financially as it is.
Right.
So
it's a $6 million loan.
A $6 million
loan paid back over time.
It has to be paid back over time. If the percentage is like 4%, you could be looking at a lot of people that could possibly lose their homes. Seniors definitely would be ones that would suffer, and we have to make sure we take care of our seniors. Now, I understand, and that's something that's going to be brought up, is that state offers this senior freeze, which we do offer that. But with the senior freeze, that freezes your taxes at a certain date. When you freeze your taxes, they can't go up per se. But what that means is you're still responsible for paying the taxes. If the tax rate goes up, you have to pay that tax rate, current tax rate. You get reimbursed though. So the state will reimburse the seniors back that money for that freeze.
Yeah.
But they still have to initially come out of pocket to pay that.
Right.
And then when you get that check back, then it might help. But the problem is if they can't afford to pay it up front and they go delinquent on their taxes, then they have a fee and interest that they have to pay to Lawrence Township.
Right.
How is that fair to our taxpayers that they would have to pay an interest on something that they couldn't afford in the first place?
Right. It's not just a straightforward fix.
And then that could force a lot of our seniors into foreclosure that we don't want, because then it's a triple effect where it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up, and they can't afford it.
It's like a slow deterioration kind of thing.
Exactly. So that's the whole thing with the transparency of that. If that would have got passed, that could have been very, very bad. And I went to social media right away, and I exposed it for what it was. That we need to educate yourself. I love our school, I love our children, and we have to take care of our children. We have to take care of our school. We have to take care of our teachers. I don't want that to be
I think you're just
mistaken.
Suggesting that it be done in a fiscally responsible way and a transparent way.
And my whole thing that I brought up last year was, if we take and we give the students additions to the school, when we give the Board of Education a new building that's on the school, and we grant that $6 million, but the student's family loses their home. Did we do it justice?
No.
We just put a family out of a home.
I've heard this phrase recently. It's you try to solve one problem, but then you create a bunch of other ones.
And I'm totally understanding that that is a state issue, because as far as our taxes go, there used to be a time where the Township Committee used to have the budget for the school. The state took that away. Now townships don't have say over the school. The school is governed by the state. State dictates the taxes on the school. So we have no control over that. I understand that. The problem is transparency.
Right.
If they just would have been transparent with the taxpayers and said, this is what's going on, it lets your taxpayers know that you're there for them. Okay? And it doesn't matter if the committeeman voted yes or voted no. They have the right to do what they want. But they also have a duty to inform us taxpayers of what's going on.
Yep, I gotcha. And then you mentioned some ideas about how to be more transparent moving forward. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah. As far as transparency goes, I believe that our committee should be available for our township residents a little more than what they may be. I think we should definitely look into live streaming our meetings.
Yeah, when you mentioned that through our private communications, I was surprised that wasn't already standard procedure.
No.
Almost like what I'm doing right now with the Daily Journal doesn't do this kind of stuff anymore. It's like you just realize one day, like, wait, there's a hole there. Like, why this? You would think it would already be taken care of, but
no, we don't do that. It's just something that doesn't happen, and it really should be something that we look into doing, because today's world that we live in, the normal 9-to-5 jobs don't exist very much anymore. And
yeah, so the timing of the meetings, it could be, I work second shift.
They could be working, exactly. Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, I can't make a meeting. And,
or I do my own schedule and I'm constantly got appointments all over the place.
Or children, can't bring their kids, they got dinner and they don't, they got a quick dinner. They just got done at 5. They got a quick dinner. They don't want to bring their kids to a meeting.
Streams and then posting it on YouTube.
And posting it on YouTube or the township website. That would be excellent for people who can't make it. That way, instead of having 4 or 5 people show up to a township meeting, we're also educating 3,000 residents possibly, because Lawrence Township has 3,000 residents, and out of the 3,000, about 500 of them are children. We'll talk about that a little bit later, I'm sure. But let's say 2,500 residents that live in Cedarville that are adults, that are registered taxpayers and voters. It gives them the option to view the topics that's being talked about. And also something else that we could look into doing is have them able to submit their questions that they have to the township committee.
Yep.
That way, if they can't make it, we can say, hey, such and such has a question about this. Let's address that at the meeting.
I got a related story. So I've been going around the county trying to do this sort of thing, and I was gonna bring up this kind of topic at the Vineland School Board meeting, and so I went there and I put my name on the paper to do my question or whatever, and I sat there for at least an hour and a half while they went in the back room and did their executive session or whatever it was, and I was like, I'm going to martial arts class. Like, I do have the time, but if this is standard procedure where people show up and want to have a question and they just sit in a chair for an hour and a half, it might be a little bit of a entitled, privileged take, but it's like, you're just going to turn me off.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm a little bit persistent, and so I keep going or whatever, but the average person is not going to want to sit there just to ask a question and wait for an hour and a half to do it. Submitting the question and making sure that it gets addressed.
Yes.
Almost like a you could do like an ambassador or a representative from the public to make sure that they're showing up, and they have to, sit there for the whole hour and a half meeting to make sure that the question gets asked.
Yeah.
Something like that, but another way.
But definitely, if I was elected as township committeeman for Lawrence Township, I would definitely 100% make sure that question is asked.
Yeah.
And is addressed 100%.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see done, and I think it's something that it needs to be addressed. Our website still has the wrong mayor's name on it. Our minutes for the meetings are not even updated. I think we have two minutes maybe that are on the website.
Yeah.
And if you want anything else, you have to go to the township. You have to request, the minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have time to do that. Yeah. They should be able to click on Lawrence Township, Cumberland County, and click on that link and be taken to the minutes or be taken to a video or whatever it is that they need to be, that they want to know. And it's just...
website maintenance. It's 2024, right?
Yes.
I had a similar issue. Again, this is not to be partisan, but just to sort of illustrate the problem. The Cumberland NJ Democrats website, their events, I check it regularly to be like, okay, is there going to be a public meet and greet kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. They haven't updated since March. And then I see after the fact, oh, there's a big meeting somewhere that, you know, I could have went and just like observed and like shook a couple hands, asked a couple questions.
Exactly.
But it's not there. Website maintenance is a thing.
A lot of times if you go under like the Lawrence Township and you're Googling it, you could easily mistakenly be taken to, I believe it's Mercer County, Lawrence Township.
I did the same thing last year.
That's 2 hours away, almost.
When I Googled Cumberland County politics or whatever last year when I first started this, it was taking me to Pennsylvania. I guess there's another Cumberland County in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's a small thing, and like I kept going, I figured it out. But you know, there's a lot of people who would just give up, or like somebody like the older generation, like our parents' generation. They don't have like perfect Google skills.
Right.
They're gonna try for 5 minutes and they're gonna be like, I don't know, I guess it's time to watch The Price is Right, you know, or whatever. Like they're just gonna go back to their life.
Exactly. But you know, even a Facebook website or like a Facebook for Cedarville, you got a lot of townships out there who have Facebook, and they have their websites and everything linked right to their Facebook. And a lot of times even the older generation, they're on Facebook. I mean, they're there. That's you know, that's how they find out a lot of information from my site that I have. And you know, like I said, that site was initially done for memories of Cedarville, and I still encourage everybody to post on memories of Cedarville because it's what I want. But sometimes it's the only way to get the word out to the residents of Lawrence Township, because any other way they're not going to know what's going on.
Yep. Anything else we might have forgotten about transparency suggestions, or did you hit it all?
I think I hit it all.
Okay, cool.
I think I did.
Just wanted to make sure I didn't cut you off and move on to the next topic before you didn't, you know, get a chance to say everything. So then we also had County Road 553.
Oh, yes.
So again, for people at home, and especially for me, like I live in Vineland, I don't know specifically what that issue is, and I'm sure there are other people out there who aren't aware either. So if you would. So
County Road 553 is directly behind us, and that runs towards Fairton, Bridgeton area, and then it also runs towards the Newport commercial township into like the 40 Street area. It kind of goes that way. So the issue that's going on with 553 here in Lawrence Township is our road is starting to collapse. It's becoming a major issue that we're having, a safety issue, and it's when you go to the township meeting to try to get it addressed or find out what's going on, it's kind of hard to get answers to simple questions of where are we at now. So that everybody knows, County Road 553 is a county road. Lawrence Township does not own that road. It is a county road. But the issue is between the lake and the dam across the street. The dam is directly across the street. There's 3 pipes that go under the road, and they go through the dam, and that's kind of what like feeds the lake to the other side. So what's happening with that dam is the dam is compromised, and it's starting to break apart and collapse and whatnot, which is causing the road to start to do the same thing. So Cumberland County and Lawrence Township can't come together, it seems, to figure out who owns what and who's going to fix what.
Yeah.
And that's the whole issue that we're going through.
Because it's reminding me of another issue in the county. To clarify, how long have you and the committee and possibly the county been aware of this issue?
Well, I was told at the August 12th meeting of 2024 that Cumberland County and Lawrence Township has been aware of this issue for 25 years now. So that makes me wonder, out of the 17 years my opponent's been in office, 25 years this road's been an issue.
Yeah.
So why is this road so an issue?
It reminds me of the NABAV extension issue. again, I'm not trying to start any controversy, but when I asked the basic question, same thing with another political figure in the area, they said that issue might have been going back since World War II. Don't quote me, but it's at least been a couple decades. Like, are we going to do it or not, you know?
Well, here's the sad fact about the issue. I was told, along with other township taxpayers at a meeting, that if I had a magic wand to wave, to go ahead and wave it and fix it.
Right.
Well, I don't have a magic wand.
Sure.
I'm not a fairy, you know, or anything. I don't have magic. Also told that if we wanted to donate $3 to $5 million of our own money, we could fix it then. Well, I don't have $3 to $5 million. Also told to go to the county meetings ourselves and address it to the county. I mean, we elect people for a reason. That's what they're supposed to do, is go speak for us.
Where I sort of get a little frustrated, and it's probably where you're at too. It sounds like you just weren't getting a direct answer. As in, like, well, we're not going to fix it. Like, if that was the answer, at least you could take it from there.
Right. We get told that we're not forgot about. That, Cumberland County hasn't forgot about us. Lawrence Township hasn't forgot about it. But we've also been told at the August 12th meeting, and I will quote this on the book, that the issue will be resolved when a tragedy happens and we get sued.
Oh, okay.
That's sickening.
Yeah. That's
sickening.
Yep.
For someone to even say that is very sickening. Because it should never come down to something like that. If a school bus full of kids drive over that road and it decides to collapse, I'm going to tell you that dam is probably about 30 feet high. So I can only imagine. And by the way, this lake, I believe, is between 30 to 50 feet deep in the middle. Okay, if that road collapses and we lose water from this lake into a sinkhole with a bus full of kids in it, I don't even want to imagine what could happen.
Of course.
That's just it really bothers me, and you have no. What can you say about this?
It just
25 years.
That's what I was going to say.
25 years.
It's one
and
thing.
My opponent's been in office for 17 years, and I don't like to keep. I'm sorry for talking, but
you're fine.
I told you earlier, when I get passionate and I get started, you got to tell me, slow down, because it fires me up inside that we just get told we haven't forgot about you. No. And by the way, this township can't afford a lawsuit like that. We can't afford not one single person hurt. But we can't afford a lawsuit either.
Right.
I don't know if Cumberland County can afford a lawsuit, but I know we can. But I don't want to see not one single person hurt. Right now the road is separating from the sidewalk. You can see the gap. I don't want a child riding down that sidewalk and get hurt because of the sidewalk or the road, or a senior citizen trying to walk down the road or get hurt because of that. Or God forbid, you see the cones that are up behind me. The cones are wrapped around where the road is starting to cave.
Oh, okay.
So our children have to go around them cones into the road to walk or ride a bike.
Right.
What if they get hit?
That's an extra safety issue. Yeah.
So it's a major issue.
If we had learned about this issue maybe last year, and it was just taking time to get the paperwork done and find the funding, but 25 years, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. Let's bring up the safe and engaging spaces for children. So you briefly hit on this during our communications, and I'm sure there's going to be people at home who have no idea either. So would you care to illustrate what that means?
As I stated earlier, we have about 500 children that are in our local school district, Lawrence Township School District. So, Lawrence Township is also a choice school. So, how many children that we would have coming from sending districts or whatever it would be. We do have quite a few. Majority of them students are Lawrence Township residents. With that being said, we don't have very much for our children to do here in town. Back when I was younger, This lake that I'm sitting on right now, we used to have playground equipment on the lake for the kids to play on the playground equipment. I understand times change, but there's other options that we can look into. We have a senior citizen building that we use for our seniors, which I encourage all of our seniors to.
Senior citizen what?
It's a senior citizen, like a recreation building.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's located right on Moffett Avenue, right here in Cedarville, and I encourage all of our seniors to take advantage of that. It's a very great program to take advantage of. I know back in the past they provide you lunch and stuff like that, so it's a very good program that they provide. But that building is utilized just for seniors, and the seniors, I think they occupy, let's say the hours of 7 to 3. That's when our children are in school.
Right.
So if we could use that building and utilize it as a multi-recreational building for our children
From
to
like after school hours.
after school activities or something like that, I think that would be a great opportunity for our school or for our children in this town to get off the streets from walking on the streets, or get them out the house, get them interacting with other children. So I think that would be a great thing. And we also have quite a bit of property with that as well. So I know Commercial Township in Port Nards, I believe it is, they actually built a skate park for their children.
Sure.
So I would like to get involved with them and get information from them, see how they came about doing it, and see how we could possibly do something like that for our children as well. Our children used to be able to go to the school and play basketball, but the school has since took the lights out of the school. So there's no lights on the basketball courts anymore because they don't want the children playing, I guess, after dark or whatnot. But when winter comes, it's at 5 o'clock or something like that, the kids really aren't hurting nothing if they're playing where there's lights and they're on the basketball courts. So I don't really see a problem with the kids playing some basketball, until a reasonable hour.
Sure.
But the lights are out, so they can't even play basketball now. I will give credit to our parade department, our the parade committee, parade recreation committee. We do have a committee in town, and I do want to recognize them. They do a fantastic job of what they do with what they have. They do hold things like movie nights and public events and stuff like that, but they're even limited to what they have done. And the parade committee actually was founded by my grandfather again many years ago, and then it's still around today, which that's an honor. But there's more that we can do for our children than just one movie night here and there or something like that. I really believe that we could definitely utilize more for our children in the town, and if we utilize the senior building, the next question is going to be is who's going to pay the staff to be in it? Okay, I've got that covered.
Okay.
We have our recreational field, which we have a baseball field that we do have. We have coaches, Little League coaches and stuff like that who volunteer their time for Little League and stuff during the summer and the spring. And we also have L10, which is our local kind of like a PTA for the school. They're volunteers. Now, with that being said, them people who work directly with them children, they are already kind of like vetted, so we know that they're safe to be around our children.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We don't have to worry about them being around our children because they're around our children all the time. So if we team up with our L10 and we team up with our baseball coaches and stuff like that, and we can get volunteers that will volunteer for our kids after school at the senior building, that would be great. And that wouldn't cost the taxpayers any money.
Right.
To do something like that. So we wouldn't need somebody to pay to be there. We do have an employee that is there during the day for the seniors that is not a volunteer. That employee is paid. So I'm not saying we have to hire another person. I'm just saying that we reach out for volunteers. It never hurts to ask.
Sure.
So I believe there's more that we can definitely do for our children in this town.
Yeah. Sounds like good ideas. You got an action plan. That's what I like to see. Sometimes politicians will talking abstractions, if you will. Platitudes is the word that goes around social media nowadays.
Right.
So, like I said at the outset of the interview, I've had some frustrating experiences over the past year getting involved in local politics. I've been told things like, we'll let the public know what we want them to know. Or I've had another figure say, you asked too many questions, as he escorted me out from a public meet and greet. Volunteer what you will, no pressure, but it sounds like you've had some similar experiences. And I feel like it's important because a lot of times, growing up, everybody's yelling, you should vote, pay attention to politics, your voice matters, blah, 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 blah. And then when we get involved, we get this sort of like weird tension and pushback. So I think it would be important to elucidate some of that, but whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, definitely when you're I guess the word I could use is a younger guy, and you try to get involved in politics, and you, in some other people's eyes, you have no business being in politics. They do push back, and rather than welcome you with open arms, which is what I was expecting because the way I was brought up, I was really expecting to be welcomed with open arms because a lot of politicians in our town aren't as young as I am, and they eventually have to pass the torch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But they're not always as welcome as you would think they are, and I learned that after the special election last year. After I put the word out, that's when the pushback against me started pretty heavy. I was putting flyers up around town, trying to get the word out to the residents and stuff like that. And I had other residences that were contacting me and were very concerned about what was going to happen with our town if this had went through. So I went to the September 11th. I'll never forget the date because it was September 11th.
Sure.
Can't forget that date of 2023. I went to that meeting, and I only went for informational reasons. I just wanted to gain information for myself because, I wanted to gain information so I could give information to my fellow neighbors as what was going on. So with that being said, as I'm sitting there minding my own business and, all the officials are in the back, talking about, whatever it is that they talk about for the meeting, one particular person comes out from the back and walks directly towards me and just starts using profanity and then grabs me by the face and was very upset. And it was clearly upset because of the pushback of me, voicing my opinion about what was going on. Now, that person made it personal because he felt personally attacked, is what I think, because of the connection that he has with the Lawrence Township Board of Education. So that's
And just to clarify, you kind of already mentioned this, but like there hadn't been any like prior altercation or any like
absolutely none.
Because sometimes he said, she said, blah, 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 blah. I just, not that I heard anything, but I'm just like wondering in my head, like, well, who just wanders out from the back room and gets in somebody's face like that, you know?
So, it's obvious of who the person was. It's obvious that it was my opponent. Okay, it's obvious that it was the mayor at the time. It's obvious. All right. There was never any conflict before that. Matter of fact, we both run on the same rescue squad together. So we volunteered together.
Sure.
So there's never been any kind of, we've joked around, we've talked before, everything like that.
Yeah.
But when politics got involved,
yep,
that's when you start seeing true sides of people. And the fact that I'm a younger person, as I'm, as I hear, I'm a younger person gaining traction on social media. That's why this person decides, you know, they want to push back in more of a physical way. And that's not a way that we lead our town. And,
Right.
and that's not the way I'm going to represent our town. So, yeah, that was not only an experience for me, that was also an experience for one young lady that was there. She'd only lived in our town for 6 months, and she was very upset with what she witnessed. And she didn't know if she would come back for another meeting after that.
Right.
And she said that where she came from, she'd never witnessed anything like that. And she came from a bigger city than what we live in here.
Yeah.
So she was very upset with what she had witnessed.
Yeah.
And you know, so was I.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to be a little bit of a wild child and kind of like get myself into a little bit of trouble by wandering into places maybe I shouldn't belong. You know, but I imagine much more average, even-keeled people would be very turned off from something like that. I'm not going to meetings if people are just going to start yelling and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah,
And
blah,
putting
blah.
their hands on and
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, sorry to hear about that. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
And that might be the end of it. Yeah. So thank you very much, Charlie. I appreciate you taking the time.
And I thank you very much for speaking with me. And yeah.
Yeah. So just to wrap up, summarize, it's clear that you're passionate about transparency, safety of the roads, being a leader for your community. It's time. Feels like you're saying it's time for the younger generation to step up, start leading. Maybe it's time to pass the torch on. We'll see how the county feels about that when they vote. And as a reminder, Charlie does his Facebook page. Why don't you say it just to make sure I don't screw it up?
You know you're from Cedarville when.
Right. So you just put that in the search bar.
Put that right in the search bar. It'll pop up. I think we have a little over 2,000 or 2,100 members. So you can definitely look us up there. But I do want to say to the residents of Lawrence Township that, you know, I'm not only a candidate running for election, but I'm also your neighbor. So I want to make that very clear that I'm always going to be there for you, no matter what time or day that it is. That I've proven that by example as it is already, where people have, you know, texted me or called me or, you know, see me in public and they have questions for me, and I tell them that I'll do my best to find out answers, but I'm not elected. So there's only so much information that I have.
Sure.
But if you elect me, I definitely will. That is my promise to the Lawrence Township residents, is that I will always be there for you, and I will always be your neighbor. That's what we are. We're neighbors.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. The community working together to just address community issues, right?
Yes, and make it a better place for our families.
All right, so again, Steve Soloff, informthevotenj.com. Stay tuned there to get more information. Check Charlie's Facebook page. And to wrap up, you got anything else? Last minute thoughts?
That's it. Just get out and vote. Your vote is your voice, and we got to get our voices heard. And just vote.
Cool.
Definitely.
Thank you for taking the time again, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
See you next time.